This is the 134th launch of the Space Shuttle program, the 25th launch of Space Shuttle Endeavour, and the 36th flight to the International Space Station. Endeavour will deliver the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer called AMS-2, a particle physics detector designed to search for various types of unusual matter by measuring cosmic rays. Its experiments are designed to help researchers study and look for clues to the formation of the universe. Endeavour will also bring up to the station the Express Logistics Carrier 3, an external platform for the space station that holds large equipment that will carry spare parts and equipment to sustain the space station's operation in space once the last space shuttle flight has occurred this summer. And here is Commander Mark Kelly, our 134 mission commander, making his fourth flight on the space shuttle. He's logged a total of 38 days in space. His latest flight was in 2008 on STS-134. Going over to our pilot now, Greg Johnson. He's making his second space flight, previously also pilot on STS-123 in 2008. He's logged over 4,000 hours in 40 different types of aircraft. This is Mike Fink, mission specialist number 1. This is his third space flight, but his first space shuttle flight. He was launched previously from Russia on Soyuz spacecraft, and he's logged 365 days in space with over 26 hours on 6 spacewalks. Mission specialist Greg Shamatoff. This is his second space flight, but he's already logged 183 days in space aboard the space station. He's Canadian-born from Montreal. And there's Drew Feustel, mission specialist number 3, making his second trip into space. He served as an astronaut for more than a decade, working on both the space shuttle and the space station branches in Houston. He flew on the 5th and final HST servicing mission. And Roberto Vittori. He's mission specialist number 2. He was selected as an astronaut by the European Space Agency. He's from Viterbo, Italy. And he has flown to the International Space Station twice. And here come our astronauts, leaving the suit-up room bound for the elevator that will take them down to the astronaut van, the Astrovan. This is the same elevator that all astronauts since Apollo have used to leave the crew quarters and go out to the launch pad. It's about a 20-minute ride from the astronaut quarters out to the launch pad, covering about 10 miles, and they allow another 10 minutes or so for the crew to get off the Astrovan and look around a little bit, and head up the fixed service structure, and then begin boarding the space shuttle. So that allows for about a half an hour for the entire process from the time they leave the astronaut quarters until they start boarding. And there they go.
WCC, they're at the pad.
And the astronaut van now on the pad surface. Crew taking a moment to look at Space Shuttle Endeavour, something that most crews like to do before they head up to board the spaceship.
And OTC, OVCC.
OBCC, OTC, go.
My crew has arrived at the orbiter. Crew ingress and work at this time.
See that?
Drew Feustel is up next. He's mission specialist number 3, making his second trip into space. He's served more than a decade as a NASA astronaut, working on both the space shuttle and the space station branches. And Greg Johnson, he's about to board.
OTC, OVCC.
OBCC, OTC.
MS3 on board at this time.
0940.
This is a live shot from the mid-deck area. This is mission specialist number 4, Greg Shamatov. STS-134 is his second space flight, but he's already logged 183 days in space aboard the International Space Station.
OTC, CDR, com check.
CDR, this is OTC. I have you loud and clear. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Very good. And CMQC 65.
Roberto Vittori and Mike Fink waiting to enter the White Room.
And CGSS, OTC.
OTC, CGLS.
CLS, OTC.
Yes, sir. I can give you steps 592 through 598. We've completed implementation of step 92.
Copy that. Thank you.
Greg Chamatoff. Now, on board, he's going to be sitting in the middeck center seat, joining Drew Feustel on the middeck. This is astronaut Mike Fink. He's mission specialist number 1. This is his 3rd space flight, but his first space shuttle flight. He's logged over 365 days in space, with over 26 hours on 6 spacewalks on the International Space Station on expeditions 9 and 18.
OTC, TLT, com check.
TLT, OTC, I have you loud and clear. Good morning, box.
Good morning, Mark.
Your checklist.
Copy that.
And CQC 690, 692 are complete as well.
This is Roberto Vittori, our mission specialist number 2. He was selected as an astronaut by the European Space Agency and is from Viterbo, Italy. And he has flown to the International Space Station on 2 past occasions.
OTC, MS4, com check.
MS4, OTC, I have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard, Greg.
Thanks, Mark. Also have you loud and clear.
OTC, CSS.
Double F, go.
I can verify step 685.
Thank you.
And Roberto Vittori now climbing on board Endeavour.
And OTC, OVCC.
Mission specialist number 2.
MS2 on board at this time, and that is all crew members on board.
So all of the crew members are now on board.
Please pass that to Fire Rescue Leader.
Copy that.
Die US-Raumfähre Endeavour startet heute zu ihrem endgültig letzten Flug ins All. Die 6 Astronauten sollen ein 2 Milliarden $2 teures Forschungsgerät an der Raumstation ISS installieren. Die Endeavour wird nach ihrer Rückkehr in einem Wissenschaftszentrum in Los Angeles ausgestellt.
Officials have given the green light for Shuttle Endeavour's liftoff for its final flight. You're watching World 1 on CNN. That is expected to take off in about an hour. Those are live pictures from Florida. Fingers crossed, all will go according to plan.
This space shuttle is set for its final launch this hour.
In gut einer Stunde soll es nun klappen. Die US-Raumfähre Endeavour ist fertig und startbereit für ihre 25. und letzte Reise ins All. Das Space Shuttle wird um 14:56 Uhr unserer Zeit vom Weltraumbahnhof Cape Canaveral in Florida zur internationalen Raumstation ISS abheben. Am Mittwoch soll die Raumfähre dann an der ISS andocken. Ein erster Startversuch der Endeavour musste am 29. April wegen technischer Probleme abgebrochen werden. Und wir übertragen den Start der Endeavour natürlich live ab 14:45 Uhr hier bei N24.
US-Raumfähre. Die soll in einer knappen Stunde, nämlich 14:56 Uhr unserer Zeit, zu ihrer letzten Reise aufbrechen. Die Ingenieure, die haben einen Defekt an einem Heizungssystem repariert. Es geht um die Nottreibstoffversorgung und die Panne hatte ja den ursprünglich am 26. April geplanten Start verhindert. Der Countdown war dann abgebrochen worden, als die 6-köpfige Shuttle-Besatzung bereits auf der Startrampe des Weltraumbahnhofs Cape Canaveral war. Ziel der zweiwöchigen Reise der Endeavour einmal mehr die internationale Raumstation ISS und sie soll unter anderem zum Beispiel den Großdetektor AMS-02 zur Raumstation bringen, der den Weltraum nach Antimaterie und sogenannter dunkler Materie ausspähen soll. Also hoffentlich geht dann alles klar in etwa einer Stunde mit einigen Tagen Verspätung. Und das wäre dann die letzte Reise zumindest der Endeavour. Und insgesamt verabschiedet sich ja dieses Shuttle-Programm bei der NASA. Und bald ist es dann nach 30 Jahren komplett vorbei. Soweit diese Bilder live aus Florida. Und damit kommen wir zurück auf die Erde. Und
It is all systems go for Endeavour's final launch. And we're counting down as the shuttle crew prepare to make history.
Space Shuttle Endeavour will launch from Cape Canaveral in Florida. Around 500,000 spectators are going to be watching the second to last launch of the entire Space Shuttle program. There it is, that's the live scene there, early in the morning there on the Florida Atlantic coast. The final flight will be made in July by the Shuttle Atlantis, but for Endeavour, this is its final launch. And let's speak about this more with our correspondent, our science correspondent, Jonathan Amos. Jonathan, we've had quite a few delays along the way, haven't we? I was in Cape Canaveral in April hoping to see it go, but it was delayed then.
Yes, I've been once on this particular mission hoping to see it fly as well. This mission should have actually taken off last year, I think back in September, but there were problems with its payload. It's taking up this $2 billion particle physics experiment called the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer. There were issues with that. They had to fix that, and then as we saw last month, they tried to get the shuttle ready on the pad, and then they had a heating issue in the aft of the ship, and so that had to come out. New electrics went in, and so we're back today, and we're not far away now. I'd say there's no technical issues, as they say, being worked at the moment, and the weather's looking all right as well.
It does look like a magnificent morning there in Florida. And, I mean, an interesting crew. I mean, I know last time President Obama was going to be watching, but also the Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who survived that shooting attack in Arizona. Her husband is actually the captain of this mission.
Yeah, Mark Kelly is the commander of Endeavour. He's flown on the shuttle a few times before, and this is his mission. This is what he's been preparing for, training for many, many months. And then that personal tragedy struck in January, where his wife was shot at a meet and greet session for her constituents. And for a while we thought he wasn't going to fly. He stood down while she was in the critical stages of recovery. But she has made a remarkable recovery from that shooting. And she is there today, and she's going to see him fly, which is fantastic.
How much of a loss will the shuttle fleet be to Cape Canaveral? I mean, what comes next for the US space program?
Well, we've got one more after this, Atlantis, and then every American astronaut will have to fly on Russian Soyuz capsules.
Who'd have thought all those years ago?
Who'd have thought for the foreseeable future. And then around about the middle of the decade, a number of commercial US carriers will come online. These are companies that believe they can make money out of spaceflight by, in essence, selling seats to NASA. And NASA will pay by the seat. It won't own the vehicles like it does with Shuttle, and that'll usher in a completely new era of spaceflight and hopefully bring the cost down. Because at the moment, this as magnificent as this vehicle is, it costs $200 to $300 million a month to run this program.
Jonathan, as we look at that wonderful picture of it there sitting on launch pad 39A, I believe, just tell us what's going on inside. The astronauts have actually been in there for a long time, haven't they? The door was shut some time ago.
The 6 of them have been strapped in for a while. I was talking to Michael Foale the other day, the British-born astronaut, who's one of the most experienced American flyers of all time, talking to him about this moment. And he says, when you lift off, it's like a gorilla is sitting on your chest. And you feel this acceleration as you drive into the sky. And then those solid boosters pop off the side, and it's as if that gorilla suddenly gets off your chest. And then it's really quite a comfortable flight to orbit, and we'll see it in about half an hour.
Right, yeah, just over, I think it's 34 minutes, just under 34 minutes time. Jonathan, for now, thanks very much, Jonathan Amos, our science correspondent, giving us all the details there.
Launch at 4 minutes to 9 local time. That is in just over half an hour, and we will bring you the launch live right here on Newsstream. The Endeavour crew has been hoping for favorable weather, and it looks like they've got it. With around 30 minutes to go, let's check in with our own NASA fan, Mari Ramos. She joins us from the World Weather Center. Mari.
Hey, Christy. Yeah, I love that title. NASA fan. Woohoo. You know what? There was a little bit of low clouds earlier today, a little bit of a cloud going on, and there was some concern that that may not clear in time, but they were expecting it to clear about 30 minutes before launch time. And as what we saw from those live pictures, can we go back to those live pictures? It looks like there's a little bit of haze in the sky, but overall, everything is a go as far as the weather's concerned, and everything else that they were worried about earlier. There was a little bit of a nick, so to speak, on one of the tiles of the space shuttle, and they were able to fix that. So everything is ready to go. So in the next 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so, we should be able to see Endeavour go through that final countdown as they head out into space. This mission was delayed because of some problems before. I want to show you the radar here for Florida, the satellite, I should say. And there's the low clouds that they were talking about earlier that, for the most part, has cleared. So I think we're good. And so that launch, as we were saying, continuing. And 22 degrees, can't complain. It's Florida, and we're all set to go. So sky conditions mostly sunny.
And it is very special for several reasons. John Zarella is watching the final preparations now. He joins us now live from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And John, I'm always nervous before launch. Is it good to go?
Yeah, it sure is, Christy. Right now, everything is looking good. No repeat of the problems that they had 2.5 weeks ago. And as you mentioned, significant on many fronts here, certainly because this is the 25th and final flight of the Space Shuttle Endeavour. When they finish this mission, Endeavour will have flown 115 million miles and will have flown 139 different astronauts into space. Of course, Mark Kelly is the commander of the Space Shuttle, and as most people know, his wife, Representative Gabrielle Giffords, was gravely wounded back in January. She has been recovering in Houston, and she has flown here to watch her husband command this flight today. She'll be sitting just about 300 yards from us up on top of the launch control complex with the families of the other astronauts who are on board the vehicle. And as I said, the astronauts are all on board. We're counting down. They got up early this morning, as you might expect, over in the operations and checkout building where they had breakfast and then put on their flight suits, which they'll wear during the period of ascent, about that 8 to 10 minutes it takes to get into orbit. And then after that, they took the elevators down the stairs and the traditional walkout with hundreds of NASA employees waiting outside the building as the astronauts came out and waved, and then got on board the Astro bus to make their way out to the launch pad. So again, now we're counting down about 26 minutes to go before liftoff of Endeavour on its final flight, a 16-day mission to the International Space Station. One other note, Christy, they're going to be carrying in the cargo bay there the alpha magnetic spectrometer, $2 billion instrument that, if it works, and the scientists say it will, it could give them new insights into the origins of the universe. Christy?
Yeah, it's an incredible mission that they have ahead of them. And it's wonderful here that Gabrielle Giffords is there for this launch. Truly an emotional moment.
Yeah.
Now, John, when is the Space Shuttle Endeavour scheduled to return to Earth? And after touchdown, what's next for it?
Well, 16-day mission. It'll be back at this point 16 days. So we're looking at about June 1st for landing, hopefully here at the Kennedy Space Center. After that, it'll be decommissioned, and it's going to go out to the California Science Center, where it will be permanently on display. And another point, if the launch goes today, a very historic moment here tomorrow, about 8 a.m. Eastern time here. The shuttle Atlantis is going to roll from the orbiter processing facility over to the vehicle assembly building, where it will be turned upright and assembled to the external tank and all, and that will be the final vehicle that will ever fly sometime in mid-July, we're told. Christy? Yeah.
All right, John Zarella joining us live there. Thank you very much indeed.
Endeavour Launch Director, Air to Ground 1. Okay, Mark, looks like a great day to launch Endeavour for the final time. So on behalf of the thousands of proud Americans who have been part of her journey, good luck, Godspeed, and we'll see you back here June 1st.
Thank you, sir. On this final flight of Space Shuttle Endeavour, we want to thank all the tens of thousands of dedicated employees that have put their hands on this incredible ship and dedicated their lives to the Space Shuttle program. As Americans, we endeavor to build a better life than the generation before, and we endeavor to be a united nation. In these efforts, we are often tested. This mission represents the power of teamwork, commitment, and exploration. It is in the DNA of our great country to reach for the stars and explore. We must not stop. To all of the millions watching today, including our spouses, children, family, and friends, we thank you for your support.
The clock is ticking in about 15 minutes. Space Shuttle Endeavour will take off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and we'll bring it to you live.
Es ist 14:45 Uhr, 2:45. Guten Tag zu unserer Sondersendung zum Start der Raumfähre Endeavour. Und wir wollen natürlich jetzt mal schnell nach Cape Canaveral schauen. Dort laufen die Vorbereitungen. Gut 400.000 Menschen sind zum Kennedy Space Center gekommen, um mit dabei zu sein, wenn die Endeavour zu ihrem letzten Flug ins All aufbrechen wird. Es ist der insgesamt 25. Flug des Raumgleiters und er hat in dieser Zeit bereits 187,3 Millionen Kilometer zurückgelegt. Also wir sehen, es ist ein wenig windig dort in Florida und es ist auch bewölkt, aber die Experten gehen davon aus, dass der Start durchgeführt werden kann. Eigentlich sollte die Endeavour ja bereits am 29. April ins Weltall fliegen, aber aufgrund eines Problems an einem der Tanks musste der Start dann verschoben werden. Es ist ein denkwürdiger Flug. Es ist der vorletzte der Shuttle-Missionen in den USA. Im Sommer diesen Jahres wird dann als letzte die Atlantis noch einmal ins Weltraum fliegen zur internationalen Raumstation ISS. Aber die Endeavour startet jetzt mit 6 Soldaten an Bord und sie hat ein 2 Milliarden Dollar teures Gerät zur Berechnung von Teilchenbeschleunigungen mit an Bord. Also das soll dann zur ISS gebracht werden. Und man muss auch sagen, der Kommandant dieses Raumgleiters, Mark Kelly, es war ja nicht klar, ob er überhaupt mitfliegen hätte können, weil er ist der Ehemann der US-Kongressabgeordneten Gabrielle Giffords, die ja im Januar diesen Jahres bei einem fürchterlichen Amoklauf schwer verletzt worden ist und immer noch unter den Folgen dieses Anschlags leiden muss. Sie hat nur knapp überlebt. Damals 6 Menschen sind in Tucson, Arizona ums Leben gekommen. Wir sehen jetzt die Triebwerke. Also der Countdown läuft. Um 14:56 Uhr soll es losgehen. Und vielleicht ein Wort nur zu Gabrielle Giffords. Sie hat die Erlaubnis bekommen, dass sie nach Florida gebracht werden konnte. Ihr Gesundheitszustand ist stabil. Also sie wird auch live mit dabei sein auf dem Gelände, wenn ihr Mann Mark Kelly mit den anderen 5 Astronauten dann in wenigen Minuten, also um 14:56 Uhr, in gut 8 Minuten wird es dann soweit sein, in die Lüfte steigen wird. So, wir sind telefonisch verbunden mit Professor Ulrich Walter in München. Er war bereits im All 9 Tage, 23 Stunden und genau 40 Minuten, Herr Professor. Und das Interessante ist ja auch, Sie verfolgen jetzt diesen Start an der Technischen Universität in München mit Ihren Studenten zusammen. Das freut uns natürlich sehr, dass Sie sich die Zeit genommen haben. Sind Sie ein bisschen wehmütig, dass es der letzte Flug der Endeavour werden wird?
Ja, ich bin natürlich ein bisschen wehmütig, obwohl mein Shuttle, die Columbia, bereits schon im Jahre 2003 Wiedereintritt verglüht ist. Der letzte Flug wird ja erst im Juli stattfinden. Also der wirklich letzte kommt noch.
Wie ist denn bei Ihnen jetzt so die Stimmung? Also glauben Sie, dass alles planmäßig ablaufen wird? Wir sehen, es ist ja ein wenig bewölkt dort in Florida. Ist das irgendein Problem?
Ja, die Wahrscheinlichkeit, dass es startet, ist 70%, also mit 30% Wahrscheinlichkeit starten wir vielleicht nicht. Außerdem sind die Winde relativ hoch, aber ich gehe mal davon aus, dass es funktioniert, denn sonst hätte die NASA das bereits schon abgebrochen.
Herr Professor, wie werden Sie denn heute mit Ihren Studenten diesen Start verfolgen? Was ist denn das Thema heute bei Ihnen? Das kann ja nicht nur der Start sein, oder?
Ja, wir machen hier Systemtechnik und Teil dessen ist auch, wie wird ein Shuttle gebaut, wie man es optimal baut. Die Studenten sitzen hier allerdings so rum, vielleicht können Sie mal hören, alle mal jubeln, hallo? Okay, das waren meine Studenten und die verfolgen natürlich genau, was jetzt hier passiert.
Dieser Teilchenbeschleuniger, der jetzt zur ISS gebracht werden soll, $2 Milliarden kostet er. Wie wichtig ist er für die Erforschung?
Ja, mit diesem Teilchenbeschleuniger hat zwei Aufgaben. Zunächst erstmal will man dunkle Materie analysieren. Man weiß ja immer noch nicht genau, was das ist. Und wir wissen nur, das ist ein großer Beitrag in unserem Universum. Das ist eine ganz mysteriöse Materie. Und man will den
Jokes, there won't be anything missing.
You know, when you fly an airplane to the boneyard out in the desert, you know, they say you're not allowed, don't take anything off of it. Get the brief ahead of time. I'll do the same thing with my crew. You got to leave, you know, make sure it all stays intact for the museum. We're not going to be signing our name on anything.
Perhaps just the guest book at the California Science Center, where Endeavour will be placed in retirement. John Zarella, CNN, at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Now, some of the Endeavour crew have been tweeting ahead of this last launch. Shuttle Commander Mark Kelly posted this on Thursday. He wrote, "This is not a drill. I am back in Florida for launch." And that is a reference to the April 29th attempt, which was scrubbed just hours before liftoff. Now, the crew, they woke up at around midnight local time. The pilot, Gregory Johnson, tweeted this, quote, "Good morning. I'm really excited and charged up for this mission. Slept great. Enjoyed amazing coffee and breakfast with my crew at 0100. Now, Johnson's meal included eggs, bacon, and fruit, but his crewmate went a different direction. Now, mission specialist Mike Fink, he posted this picture of his special send-off. And you could see lobster tail before liftoff. He must have a very strong stomach there. That is not all that Fink shared. Now, he also took to Twitter, and he tweeted this, quote, "Took my last shower for a few weeks. The flight docs gave a good look over. My only issue, too much boyish enthusiasm, no known cure." And we want to share just one more. You may be familiar with the astronauts' bright orange launch suits, but here's a look at what is underneath. He's looking pretty good there. Now, there'll be a lifting off in just a matter of minutes. Let's watch the countdown with our very own astro aficionado. Mar Ramos joins us now from CNN Center. And Mar, you are such a space fan. Watching this, the final flight for Endeavour, how are you feeling?
You know what, this is very exciting. What we're looking at right now, you see how they're starting to move the rocket booster there, the engines of the space shuttle doing a final test. That steam that you see there, Christy, coming out, this is very exciting, of course, is actually they try to burn off a little bit of the excess fuel that is at the bottom of the launcher to try to prevent any sparks from starting a fire. All of the things that you're looking at right now are all pre-planned, of course, a very methodical checklist that is continuing right now. We saw the orbiter access arm moving about just a little while ago. That was that shot that you showed us right before the break of kind of moving around. The auxiliary power units should be starting up as well. We are less than 3 minutes away, so you're seeing that the gas coming out from the bottom, a little bit of cloud cover there, but it does look absolutely fabulous, Christy.
Emma, I heard that there's some pretty expensive equipment on board the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Can you tell us a little bit more about the mission for the Endeavour and the crew?
Definitely. They are going to be there 14 days, and this is the 36th mission to the International Space Station. The expensive equipment that you're talking about, it's called the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer. And it's actually a consortium of countries. About 16 countries have cooperated in this, and what they're hoping to do is study particle physics. You're seeing there the top. This is the kind of the beanie, they call it sometimes, that holds the space shuttle in place. It's starting to move away. This is the last piece of equipment that will be moving away from the space shuttle before launch, by the way, Christy. So anyway, the other thing that they're taking into space this time around, do you remember Dexter? That's those that arm, the robotic arms out into space that helped build and rebuild the International Space Station, where they're taking spare parts for Dexter as well, Christy.
And this is not the final space shuttle launch. It's the last one for Endeavour, but there's one more to go, right?
One more to go, and that's expected to happen in the next couple of months. They do have a target date already, but they haven't finalized that yet. Of course, like with this one, like you said, we had a little bit of a delay. Look at that, 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go for this, the final Endeavour launch, Christy.
All right, well, with just 1 minute to go now, let's listen in.
1 minute.
Closing the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen fill and drain valves. Standing by for the handoff to Endeavour's onboard computers. T-minus 31 seconds and the handoff has occurred.
25. 20.
Firing chain is armed. Hot suppression water system is armed. Go for main engine start. 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 0, and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour. Expanding our knowledge, expanding our lives in space.
Houston, Endeavour, all program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Houston is now controlling. Endeavour beginning to roll over onto its back. The roll program underway as Endeavour begins a heads down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. Three engines now throttling down as Endeavour passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Approaching 1 minute into the flight.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Endeavour's three main engines now back at full throttle, all three engines in good shape. Endeavour's already traveling 1,300 miles per hour at an altitude of 11 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, now 12 miles. At liftoff, Endeavour fully fueled, weighed 4.5 million pounds. It's already lost half that weight in propellant now, burned that weight. Next event is burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. That upcoming here shortly at the 2 minute 3 second point. Those boosters are burning 11,000 pounds of fuel per second. And standing by for separation of the solid rocket boosters.
You know, my heart always skips a beat when I watch a shuttle launch, but this one particularly poignant, as U.S. Representative Gabriel Giffords is witnessing this event, and we are all witnessing live the final launch of Space Shuttle Endeavour, the youngest shuttle in the fleet. And that is Newsstream. But the news continues at CNN. World Business Today is next.
All systems in good shape. Three good hydraulic systems, auxiliary power units, and fuel.
Zusatztank abgesprengt?
Das dauert insgesamt dann noch jetzt 5 Minuten, dann ist dieser externe Tank leer, den wir da sehen. Und dann wird er abgesprengt, ganz wichtig, er wird dann fotografiert, um zu schauen, sind viele dieser Schaumstoffteile abgegangen, denn diese Schaumstoffteile können beim Aufstieg der Shuttle beschädigen und daraus kann man dann leichte Rückschlüsse ziehen, ob dann auch der Shuttle beim Aufstieg beschädigt wurde. Sie erinnern sich, bei Columbia war es so, dass es beim Aufstieg sehr stark beschädigt würde und deswegen ist es dann beim Wiedereintritt verglüht.
Wie werden Sie denn jetzt mit Ihren Studenten diesen Start der Endeavour analysieren?
Nun, wir werden erstmal genau darüber reden, ob das normaler war. Wir sehen ja jetzt gerade, oder wir haben gerade gesehen, dass die beiden Feststoffbooster abgesprengt wurden. Jetzt fliegt es weiter. Wir werden uns anschauen, ist das alles gut verlaufen. Die Studenten sitzen immer noch hier und schauen verpannt zu. Also wir werden das hinterher nochmal besprechen.
Und nachbauen werden Sie es nicht?
Nein, es ist ja so, dass diese Shuttle jetzt in Museen kommen, deswegen vielleicht, das Deutsche Museum hat sich übrigens auch darum bemüht, so einen Shuttle zu bekommen, aber die NASA hat gleich gesagt, nein, ihr Deutschen, ihr habt da nicht so ein großes Anrecht drauf, das geht eigentlich nur an amerikanische Museen.
Was sehr schade ist, weil ich kann mich noch gut daran erinnern, als der russische Raumgleiter, oder der sowjetische, muss man ja in diesem Fall sagen, Raumgleiter Buran über den Rhein geschippert worden ist in das Museum in Sinsheim an der A6.
Da war jeder dabei und das wäre natürlich toll gewesen und das Deutsche Museum, wo ich wissenschaftlicher Beirat bin, das hat sich wirklich sehr gefreut, aber sie hatten nicht die geringsten Chancen.
Mick, jetzt haben wir noch einen Flug im Juni diesen Jahres oder Juli, das ist noch nicht ganz klar, auf jeden Fall im Sommer. Die Atlantis wird dann den letzten Start durchführen. Was genau wird die Mission der Atlantis sein?
Sie wird die letzten Teile zur Raumstation bringen, denn das war ja die Aufgabe des Space Shuttles, dass sie die großen Bauteile für die Raumstation nach oben schleppt. Das hat die Flotte jetzt erfüllt und danach freuen wir uns natürlich auf die neuen Raumschiffe der NASA, die Orion heißen werden und die uns dann zum Mond, mit bemannt zum Mond und darüber hinaus natürlich in spätestens 20 Jahren zum Mars bringen werden. Das sind die neuen Aufgaben und das wird sicherlich eine ganz andere Herausforderung werden, denn der Start zum Mars wird wahrscheinlich in der Mondumlaufbahn erfolgen und nicht von der Erde aus.
Herr Professor Walter, wenn die Space Shuttle jetzt nicht mehr nach oben fliegen, wird es dann so sein, dass man nur noch mit Soyuz-Raketen da was hinbringen kann?
Ja, das ist wirklich so. Ich glaube, die Amerikaner sind sich selbst noch nicht darüber im Klaren, dass nach dem Shuttle erstmal gar nichts kommt. Das heißt, die Amerikaner werden keinen bemannten Zugang zum Weltraum haben. Ja, sagen die Amerikaner, da kaufen wir es halt bei den Russen ein, da kaufen wir halt Soyuz-Flüge. Das haben die tatsächlich auch gemacht. Die Russen, nicht blöd, haben den Preis gleich verdoppelt und darüber sind natürlich die Amerikaner jetzt sauer. Aber sie haben keine Alternative. Also fangen wir jetzt an, über ein Alternativsystem nachzudenken. Natürlich viel zu spät, weil es wird jetzt mindestens 5, 6 Jahre dauern, bis dieses Nachfolgesystem tatsächlich in Betrieb geht.
Aber warum zieht man die Space Shuttles dann aus dem Verkehr? Sind sie einfach zu unsicher?
Nein, überhaupt nicht. Die Shuttle sind nach wie vor sicher. Ich möchte fast sogar sagen, sie sind jetzt eigentlich genau richtig reif. Also man könnte sie jetzt fliegen und die Gefahr wäre am geringsten. Aber dieses Shuttle ist dazu gedacht, Nutzlast in den Weltraum zu bringen, zum Beispiel um die Raumstation aufzubauen. Und die ist jetzt aufgebaut. Also wozu braucht man noch einen Shuttle? Nun, wir brauchen das Shuttle nicht mehr, denn das, was wir da oben wollen, nämlich Experimente durchführen, da können wir auch die Leute mit einer Soyuz-Kapsel hochschicken. Und deswegen sagt die NASA, weg mit dem Shuttle, wir wollen nämlich zum Mond und zum Mars, langfristig jedenfalls. Und man kann zeigen, dass der Shuttle sowas grundsätzlich nicht kann. Für sowas ist es überhaupt nicht gebaut. Und deswegen brauchen die Russen und die Amerikaner ein Nachfolgesystem, damit sie zum Mond und zum Mars kommen. Und deswegen müssen wir das Shuttle einfach jetzt einmotten.
Wir sehen gerade noch die Bilder vom Space Shuttle Endeavour auf dem Weg in die Atmosphäre, ins Weltall also. Und hier noch einmal die Bilder vom Start. Die Triebwerke sind gezündet worden. Das war genau um 14:56 Uhr unserer Zeit. Also alles planmäßig gelaufen. Herr Professor Walter, vielleicht ein kurzes Wort noch von Ihnen ganz zum Schluss. Wir haben nur noch wenig Zeit, aber wenn Sie das sehen, sieht schon toll aus, oder?
Es ist klasse. Wissen Sie, wenn Sie da drin sind und dieser Schub drückt Sie nach oben und Sie sitzen wie auf einem Vulkan und Sie wissen, da unter Ihnen rumort es 10 Kernkraftwerke und ich werde oft gefragt, Herr Walter, was ist das für ein Gefühl? Nun, es ist überwältigend. Ich meine, jeder Astronaut will dann nochmal sich reinsetzen. Es ist schon toll. Es ist nicht ungefährlich, das wissen alle Astronauten, aber jeder macht es gerne nochmal. Und leider wird jetzt der Shuttle abgeschleppt. Das heißt, es werden nur noch 7 Astronauten mit dem Shuttle in den Weltraum fliegen und das war's. Und das ist natürlich schon ein trauriger Moment.
Aber es gibt ja in 2 Jahren dann die bemannte private Raumfahrt für $200.000. Können wir dann von Neumexiko aus abheben, oder?
Ja, das stimmt, aber sie werden in keinen Erdorbit kommen und sie werden nur den Weltraum berühren und das bedeutet nach internationaler Definition, dass man kein Raumfahrer ist. Ein Raumfahrer ist nur jemand, der eine volle Erdumrundung gemacht hat. Das heißt, sie bekommen zwar ein Zertifikat, da steht drauf, ja, ich war im Weltraum, aber ich bin kein Raumfahrer und das wird einigen vielleicht doch wehtun, wenn sie so viel bezahlt haben.
Professor Ulrich Walter, deutscher Astronaut und Inhaber des Lehrstuhls für Raumfahrttechnik an der TU München. Vielen, vielen Dank für diese sehr interessanten Informationen live zum Start der Endeavour. Also das US-Raumfahrt-Shuttle ist in die Atmosphäre gestartet auf dem Weg in den Weltall. Vielen Dank, also Professor Walter nach München und natürlich Mick Locher hier im Studio für all diese Informationen. Und Herr Professor Walter, danke an Ihre Studenten.
Werde ich ausrichten. Nochmal die Stimmen, alle laut. Hallo!
Okay. Sehr schön. Und das sind die letzten Bilder jetzt vom Start der Endeavour. Der große Tag ist noch dran. Vielen Dank nach München. Genießen wir die Bilder. Auf Wiedersehen.
Endeavour OTC, it's your final voyage. This is both a sad and proud moment for your launch team and for America, but your legacy will live on. Mission success with AMS, a truly international effort. Godspeed and see you back in a couple of weeks. Endeavour copies. Thanks for the words. Appreciate it. OTC, PLT, caution and warning memory is clear. No unexpected errors. Copy that. Endeavour OTC, close and lock your visors. Initiate O2 flow. Endeavour and work.
Go for main engine start. 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 0, and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour, expanding our knowledge, expanding our lives in space.
New Spirit Endeavour, all program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Houston is now controlling. Endeavour beginning to pull over onto its back. The roll program underway as Endeavour begins the heads down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. Three engines now throttling down as Endeavour passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Approaching 1 minute into the flight.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Endeavour's three main engines now back at full throttle, all three engines in good shape. Endeavour's already traveling 1,300 miles per hour at an altitude of 11 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, now 12 miles. At liftoff, Endeavour fully fueled, weighed 4.5 million pounds. It's already lost half that weight in propellant now, burned that weight. Next event is burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. That upcoming here shortly at the 2-minute 3-second point. Those boosters are burning 11,000 pounds of fuel per second. And standing by for separation of the solid rocket boosters. The onboard guidance system has done its job of settling out any dispersions introduced at booster separation. The orbiter is now traveling 3,200 miles per hour, downrange 50 miles, altitude 37 miles. All systems in good shape. Three good hydraulic systems, auxiliary power units, and fuel cells. The fuel cells providing electrical power to all of the systems.
Roger, 2 engine power.
Endeavour can reach a TAL site in the event of a single engine failure. However, all three are in good shape. Space Shuttle Endeavour sailing into fair winds on its final historic voyage. This view looking down the external fuel tank, the orbiter there on the top, as Endeavour continues to power its way into orbit, traveling 4,000 miles per hour, downrange 90 miles, altitude 50 miles. 3 minutes, 15 seconds into the flight. All three main engines still looking in good shape. Hydraulic systems and electrical systems on board the orbiter.
Endeavour, negative return.
Roger, negative return.
Endeavour can no longer return to the Kennedy Space Center in the event of an engine failure now, but all three are still in good shape, as are all of the other systems aboard the orbiter. Quiet here in Mission Control as a team of flight controllers watches over all of the systems. 4 minutes, 20 seconds into the flight, Endeavour's traveling 5,500 miles per hour. Altitude now 63 miles, traveling downrange 186 miles, or about 335,000 feet in altitude. Environmental and Control Systems Officer here reporting a good flash evaporator system providing cooling to all of the avionics equipment aboard the vehicle. Traveling into space on the forward flight deck is Commander Mark Kelly and pilot Greg Johnson. Between and behind them is flight engineer Roberto Vittori. And rounding out the flight deck crew is Mike Fink.
Endeavour, press to ATO.
Roger, press to ATO.
Endeavour can reach orbit on 2 engines should one fail at this point. However, all 3 are still performing as planned. Down on the middeck of Endeavour, Drew Feustel and Greg Chamitoff. Feustel headed to the International Space Station for the first time. Vittori and Fink making their first voyage on the Space Shuttle after flying to the International Space Station aboard Soyuz spacecraft previously.
Endeavour, single engine, ops 3.
Roger, single engine ops 3.
That call indicates that Endeavour could reach a transatlantic abort site on 1 engine if it lost 2 of the 3, although all 3 are still in good shape. 5 minutes, 50 seconds into the flight.
Endeavour, press to MECO and single engine Zaragoza, 104.
Roger, press to MECO, single engine Zaragoza 104.
Several calls there. Endeavour can reach a safe orbit on 2 engines now. The guidance system is controlling the engines to roll Endeavour to a heads-up position to optimize the air-to-ground communications through the satellite network. Flight controllers reporting to Flight Director Richard Jones they're in good shape.
Your shutdown plan is nominal.
Copy, shutdown plan is nominal.
For Mark, your go the plus X, go the pitch.
Roger, go for the plus X, go for the pitch.
Endeavour, single engine press, 104.
Roger, single engine press, 104.
Endeavour can reach orbit on 1 engine should 2 fail. However, all 3 are still in good shape. The 3 main engines are flowing fuel through their power systems at a rate equivalent to draining an average backyard swimming pool in 25 seconds. 7 minutes, 20 seconds into the flight. Altitude 64 miles, downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 630 miles. Endeavour is traveling 13,500 miles per hour. We're now seeing throttling on the 3 main engines to maintain the 3G or 3 times gravity load on the vehicle and the crew. Engines at 82% of rated thrust, 8 minutes into the flight. The next activity is main engine cutoff. That's expected to be commanded at 21 seconds. And main engine cutoff has been confirmed. Flight Dynamics reporting a nominal main engine cutoff. And separation from the external tank. Endeavour's Commander Mark Kelly now firing the thruster jets to position the orbiter for photography of the external tank.
We did see a nominal MECO. OMS 1 is not required.
Copy, nominal MECO, OMS 1 not required.
Die Mission zur internationalen Raumstation ISS soll 16 Tage dauern. Nach der Rückkehr wird die Endeavour im Museum landen. Anfang Juli soll dann mit der Atlantis das letzte Shuttle der NASA ins All abheben. Danach ist die 3 Jahrzehnte währende Ära der wiederverwendbaren Raumfähren beendet.
Knowledge, expanding our lives in space.
Endeavour's carrying a crew of 6 to the International Space Station. The launch had been delayed for 2 weeks by an electrical fault. The blastoff was watched by Gabrielle Giffords, the US congresswoman who was shot in the head in January in Arizona. Her husband, Mark Kelly, is the shuttle commander. Well, our science correspondent, Jonathan Amos, gave us a rundown of how the takeoff went.
All of the engines seem to be working perfectly. The solid rocket boosters detached at just the right moment. We got a good shot of the underside, the belly of the shuttle as well. Whenever we have a launch now of the shuttle, we're looking for debris, for foam, this insulation foam that they have on the orange external tank, to see if any of it comes away, because of course it was debris falling off the tank that caused problems for Columbia on its fateful launch back in 2003. But everything I could see looked good. They'll have plenty of cameras looking at all angles of this ascent to analyze precisely what went on, and we'll find out now in the next few hours just how well it went.
Now, we know it's en route to the International Space Station. What will the astronauts be doing when they get there?
Well, they're delivering a particle physics experiment, which is called the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer. It's cost something like $2 billion to prepare this experiment. Something like 600 scientists have been working on this, believe it or not, for 17 years to get this experiment ready. It is going to do a comprehensive survey of cosmic rays. Now, cosmic rays are high-energy particles that are thrown at the Earth from all corners of the cosmos. And we think that by studying some of those rays, some of those particles, we can learn something about the origin of the universe and how it is put together. It's a very, very sensitive experiment.
And I was asking viewers of BBC World News to post questions for you on my Facebook page. Jamie wanted to ask, in St. Peter's in the States, where's Endeavour going after its final voyage?
Well, when it comes back, it'll land probably at the Kennedy Space Center, and then they must make it safe for public display. And they have had a competition, if you can call it like that. There were various bids from museums around the United States, and Endeavour is going to go to the California Science Center in Los Angeles. Now, it may not get there for about a year. They have to prepare the stand on which it's going to go, and all of the museums that will accept the orbiters have got some very fancy displays. So I would say probably next year we'll probably see Endeavour in Los Angeles.
So Endeavour is safely on its way. Let's bring in Karen, who's got the rest of the day's top stories.
Hey Mike, it's Greg. Good to hear your voice, and I'm ready to downlink MPC.
Greg, we're ready for that. We have about 4 minutes left, and it's good to hear your voice as well. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Okay, it's coming now. I see 4 lights on my MPC player, so hopefully you're getting it.
Pilot Greg Johnson reporting that you're about to begin sending down some of the video the crew recorded today.
We got it, Greg. We got it up on a big screen. Looks great.
Excellent.
Right, next thing is, a little bit ago I told Mark that there was a maneuver planned while you guys were sleeping. That was going to be controlled from the ground. I told them we weren't going to do that. And now, apparently, we might do that. We're not really sure. So you might be maneuvering this evening while you're sleeping. We're going to control that from the ground. There's no action for you. But just if you saw something happening, we don't want you to be surprised. So we're not sure. You may or may not have a maneuver control from the ground this evening.
Okay, Matt, we got that.
And then, finally, we have some words from your families. They wanted us to let you know that they had a great time at the launch. It was a great launch. It was very, very nice. They appreciate everything you did for them and wish you all the best of luck in your flight. They had a great time, and they'll be coming back home soon.
Well, that's fantastic, Matt. Thanks for the kind and thoughtful words. We wish them all the best as well and a safe return back, and we're happy their friends and family were all there to see us launch off into the sunrise there.
Copy. We'll do that. You guys have a good evening and a great flight.
Thanks.
On the big screen, and we've got about another minute and a half, and then maybe we can pick it up another time.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, Drew. Hey, Taz.
There you are.
Yeah, thanks.
Back
man.
in space.
We're back in the buddy. It's nice to be back. That was one heck of a ride.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Fantastic, and it's good to be here. We're just getting reconfigured here for the cameras, and we're gonna get busy.
All right.
Now it's recording.
Okay.
You ready for the Ohms 2 burn, Taz?
Ready for the Ohms 2 burn.
Are you sure? I'm not sure I am.
Okay, Ohms burn starting in 5 seconds.
About now. Here we go.
Here we go.
Whoa!
That's a real burn.
Go. It's a long burn. We can do that again.
You're right.
There it goes.
Yeah, that's like a tenth of a G.
Where's your other boot, by the way?
It's tied off.
Hey, we're trying to work down here.
That's a good. That's a good. These tenth of a G. Wow.
Wow.
Okay, we're gonna open the payload bay doors now.
About 9 seconds. Yeah.
I see. Good. Now the forward and aft latches.
Yeah.
So far, so good, Mark.
All right.
110 is the time, as you expect. Another 15 seconds, vantage, and you always keep track of the big switch. Right?
Yes, I have my eyeballs on it, and my fingers can get to it. There we go. Start of payload bay door opening.
Payload bay door is ongoing.
It looks like a dual motor time. There's the sunshine.
All right, here we are in the flight deck of Endeavour, flight day 1, recently in space. Sorry about the cloud deck when we took off.
We're really excited. It's great to be up here.
Yeah, it was a spectacular ride. I couldn't see anything but the lockers, but it was still a lot of fun.
No master alarms.
I'll have to say it was a lot different than flying on the Soyuz.
Hey guys, here we are, Roberto and I. We're on the mid deck. We're setting up Gira, which is our water purification system over here. And we've been in space now for what, 4 hours, 5 hours, something like that. And amazingly, we're all feeling great. It's this is awesome. I can't wait to get back to the space station and feeling just awesome.
Can't wait to
Roberto?
My first ride on the shuttle was an amazing launch, and then Nico. I was a little afraid, but got quickly adapted, and it's very interesting to work with old shuttle systems. And I need to say that it's easier here in microgravity than was during the training floor. Most of the equipment here just makes sense. It is very intuitive, and happy to be here.
And it was a great ride up. It was an awesome flight up.
You're upside down.
Hey, didn't I see you up here last time? You were upside down last time too.
You're still upside down.
Oh, you're upside down.
Cheers.
Die US-Raumfähre Endeavour ist zu ihrem letzten Flug ins All gestartet. Sie hob vom Weltraumbahnhof Cape Canaveral in Florida ab. Die Endeavour mit 6 Astronauten an Bord bringt eine Messanlage und Ersatzteile zur Raumstation ISS. Im Juli soll dann auch die Atlantis als letztes Raumschiff zu einer abschließenden Mission starten. Dann wird das Shuttle-Programm der USA nach 30 Jahren Geschichte sein.
Lifts off, and it's a very special shuttle launch today. The commander and his badly injured wife and the future of America's space program, all part of today's story. Plus, it's been
6, 4, 3, 2, 0, and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour. Expanding our knowledge.
After several mechanical delays, the space shuttle Endeavour is up, and away. But this launch is bittersweet for many reasons. John Zarella reports from the launch pad where he watched Endeavour go up.
Endeavour, the newest of the orbiters, might never have been built if not for a terrible accident. In the aftermath of the loss of Challenger in 1986, President Reagan promised the disaster would not stop the journey outward.
We'll continue our quest in space. There will be more shuttle flights and more shuttle crews.
A year and a half later, Congress authorized the construction of the new, nearly $2 billion space plane. Endeavour's first flight, 1992.
Liftoff of the maiden voyage of Endeavour on a satellite.
This will be its 25th and final flight. Along its journey, Endeavour made numerous construction trips to the International Space Station and handled the first Hubble telescope repair mission. Barbara Morgan, the first educator in space, flew on Endeavour. Morgan was the backup to teacher in space Krista McAuliffe, who died on Challenger. The shuttle fleet has had both a tragic and triumphant past, and for 30 years has been America's signature flying machine.
It's got glass cockpit. It has a robot arm. It can fly the Hubble Space Telescope or the station. It can land anywhere on the planet that has a runway. It is an amazing piece of equipment on any scale.
When Endeavour returns from its final flight, Commander Mark Kelly jokes there won't be anything missing.
You know, when you fly an airplane to the boneyard out in the desert, you know, they say you're not allowed, don't take anything off of it. Get the brief ahead of time. I'll do the same thing with my crew. You got to leave, you know, make sure it all stays intact for the museum. We're not going to be signing our name on anything.
Perhaps just the guest book at the California Science Center, where Endeavour will be placed in retirement. John Zarella, CNN, at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Touchdown. Die US-Raumfähre Endeavour ist am frühen Nachmittag zu ihrem endgültig letzten Flug ins All gestartet. Rund 1,5 Million Zuschauer waren nach Cape Canaveral in Florida gereist. Unter ihnen auch die Kongressabgeordnete Gabrielle Giffords, die bei einem Attentat im Januar durch einen Kopfschuss schwer verletzt wurde. Sie ist die Ehefrau des Endeavour-Kommandanten Mark Kelly. Die 6 Astronauten sollen ein $2 Milliarden teures Forschungsgerät an der Raumstation ISS installieren. Die Endeavour wird nach ihrer Rückkehr in gut 2 Wochen in einem Wissenschaftszentrum in Los Angeles ausgestellt.
Ohne Probleme abgehoben. Die US-Raumfähre Endeavour startete zu ihrem letzten Flug ins All. Die Mission zur internationalen Raumstation ISS soll 16 Tage dauern. Nach der Rückkehr wird die Endeavour im Museum landen. Anfang Juli soll dann mit der Atlantis das letzte Shuttle der NASA ins All abheben. Danach ist die 3 Jahrzehnte währende Ära der wiederverwendbaren Raumfähren in den USA beendet.
19 Jahre nach ihrem ersten Flug ist die Raumfähre Endeavour zu ihrem letzten Einsatz gestartet. Sie hob am Nachmittag vom Weltraumzentrum Cape Canaveral in Florida ab. Die 6 Astronauten bringen unter anderem einen Teilchendetektor zur ISS. Das Gerät soll Erkenntnisse über den Urknall liefern.
Die US-Raumfähre Endeavour ist zu ihrem letzten Flug ins All gestartet. Sie hob vom Weltraumbahnhof Cape Canaveral in Florida ab. Die Endeavour mit 6 Astronauten an Bord bringt eine Messanlage und Ersatzteile zur Raumstation ISS. Im Juli soll dann auch die Atlantis als letztes Raumschiff zu einer abschließenden Mission starten. Dann wird das Shuttle-Programm der USA nach 30 Jahren Geschichte sein.
20.
Firing chain is armed. Suppression water system is armed. Go for main engine start. 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 0, and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour, expanding our knowledge while expanding our lives in space.
Houston, Endeavour, roll program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Houston is now controlling. Endeavour beginning to roll over onto its back. The roll program underway as Endeavour begins a heads-down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. Three engines now throttling down as Endeavour passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Approaching 1 minute into the flight.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Endeavour's 3 main engines now back at full throttle, all 3 engines in good shape. Endeavour's already traveling 1,300 miles per hour at an altitude of 11 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, now 12 miles. At liftoff, Endeavour fully fueled, weighed 4.5 million pounds. It's already lost half that weight in propellant now, burned that weight. Next event is burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. That upcoming here shortly at the 2-minute 3-second point. Those boosters are burning 11,000 pounds of fuel per second. And standing by for separation of the solid rocket boosters.
Go for main engine start. 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 0, and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour. Expanding our knowledge, expanding our lives in space.
Houston, Endeavour, roll program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Houston is now controlling. Endeavour beginning to roll over onto its back. The roll program underway as Endeavour begins the heads down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. Three engines now throttling down as Endeavour passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Approaching 1 minute into the flight.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Endeavour's three main engines now back at full throttle, all three engines in good shape. Endeavour's already traveling 1,300 miles per hour at an altitude of 11 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, now 12 miles. At liftoff, Endeavour fully fueled, weighed 4.5 million pounds. It's already lost half that weight in propellant now, burned that weight. Next event is burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. That upcoming here shortly at the 2-minute 3-second point. Those boosters are burning 11,000 pounds of fuel per second. And standing by for separation of the solid rocket boosters.
Firing chain is armed. Out suppression water system is armed. Go for main engine start. 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 0, and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour. Expanding our knowledge, expanding our lives in space.
Houston, Endeavour, roll program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Houston is now controlling. Endeavour beginning to pull over onto its back. The roll program underway as Endeavour begins the heads down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. Three engines now throttling down as Endeavour passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Approaching 1 minute into the flight.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Endeavour's three main engines now back at full throttle, all three engines in good shape. Endeavour's already traveling 1,300 miles per hour at an altitude of 11 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, now 12 miles. At liftoff, Endeavour fully fueled, weighed 4.5 million pounds. It's already lost half that weight in propellant now, burned that weight. Next event is burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. That upcoming here shortly at the 2-minute 3-second point. Those boosters are burning 11,000 pounds of fuel per second. And standing by for separation of the solid rocket boosters.
Go for main engine start. 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 0, and liftoff for the final launch of Endeavour, expanding our knowledge, expanding our lives in space.
Houston, Endeavour, roll program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Houston is now controlling. Endeavour beginning to roll over onto its back. The roll program underway as Endeavour begins the heads down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. Three engines now throttling down as Endeavour passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Approaching 1 minute into the flight.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Endeavour's three main engines now back at full throttle, all three engines in good shape. Endeavour's already traveling 1,300 miles per hour at an altitude of 11 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, now 12 miles. At liftoff, Endeavour fully fueled, weighed 4.5 million pounds. It's already lost half that weight in propellant now, burned that weight. Next event is burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. That upcoming here shortly at the 2-minute 3-second point. Those boosters are burning 11,000 pounds of fuel per second. And standing by for separation of the solid rocket boosters.